a freak of physics at the very edge of science's understanding has brought fame to a remote part of Texas.
We were driving down this dirt road. We sort of had a feeling of anticipation for some reason. I'm not sure why, but it felt like something mysterious was going to happen, so we were all very quiet. Right about here, we stopped along and we looked up in the sky and we couldn't believe what we saw. We saw 5 lights suspended, sort of hovering over the car, and we just couldn't believe it. We were incredulous. It just looked like 5 beams of energy. That stayed on for about, I guess, a minute and a half, and then it was all over.
Once a year, the small township of Marfa, Texas, makes the most of its only claim to fame with a festival of lights.
There's a place where unlucky folks have never even been, and the one thing that they always want to know, where the heck is Marfa, Texas? 'Cause if what you say is true, that's the one place in this world I've got to go. On the map, it's just a spot.
You can see them very bright. Sometimes you see them big, and they spin around. They're orange, they spin around. Sometimes you see them like blue, red, and they're so mysterious that it's just beautiful to go out there and just see them.
Several different colors, and some of them would split and go sideways, and some of them would continue up. It's just weird. It's unusual.
What do I think they are? I think it's the Indians.
What do you mean by that?
I think it's their spirits.
Some people think they're just car headlights.
No, they're not that. No, they've been documented way before there were cars or even a highway. That was not car headlights I saw. Or if they were awful drunk when they were driving by.
Personally, I think they're UFOs. I really think they are. And it's just wonderful to go out to have that experience.
Ah, UFOs. Well, they're big. Now, those I have seen.
Al pasar por San Clemente, les daron la migración, les pidió sus documentos y les dijeron que son.
At dusk, the Marfans gather with cold beer and camcorders. Most times, the darkening prairie keeps its secret. But sometimes the night sky yields a sight that no one can, till now, explain. But Marfa is not alone. Unexplained lights of different sizes and color have been dazzling rational observers all over the world. Sometimes they hover, sometimes dart across the sky.
Around dusk we went for a walk, when all of a sudden over the tree line nearby we saw this shape lit up, traveling at what seemed to be an enormous speed. And when it stopped, slowly the form of it, which was very defined at the beginning, began to dissipate.
I førstningen så stod det jo 3 på bakka, tett sammen, eller litt sunt og kvart lik. Plutselig så begynte det 2-ene til høyre da, og gikk mot hverandre. De skiftet rett og slett plass.
One evening it was very calm, there was no wind. We saw this light appear from nowhere, no sound or anything like that. And it just gently settled down on a field out of sight.
De momento se iluminó la noche. Levanté la cara y vi que era un objeto circular de color azul, como de 50 metros de diámetro. Calculo que estaría a unos 200 metros de altura.
These rare phenomena have helped to fuel the public fascination with UFOs. So science has ignored them. But now Equinox has discovered a group of mainstream scientists dedicated to nailing down the mystery.
Scientific principles help us organize our world. And there are always leftovers, events that don't seem to fit. The reports of fish falling from the sky, the reports of rocks falling from the sky, the reports of rocks suddenly appearing within the soil, or unusual balls of light. These are the leftovers from the last scientific revolution.
There's so little that we understand about these. We don't know exactly how the lights are generated. We don't know the precise nature of the source of the electricity, or how it's conducted to the surface of the Earth, or how it's focused into the air to produce these lights. We don't know why some of them last much longer than others. We don't know if there is some hidden input of energy into them so that the ones that are lasting a long time are somehow replenished. So there's much work to be done here.
No scientist himself, Paul Devereaux is the most passionate hunter of the lights. His mission is to convince skeptical science to take seriously a natural phenomenon mankind has wondered at since mankind itself was young.
When one researches the history of these unusual, weird, strange lights, it's clear that they've been observed down the ages. In Malaysia, the lights are called penanggal, and are thought to be the spectral heads of women who died in childbirth. In Western Africa, balls of light that are seen moving close over the surface of water is known as Aku, the devil. In Western Europe, for many centuries, they were referred to as dragons. And between the 13th and 17th centuries, there was scholarly debate going on as to whether these fiery coruscations seen in the heavens were really fire-breathing dragons, or whether they were in fact some sort of lightning effect. But immediately after World War II, it was a brave new world, and the idea of alien or extraterrestrial spaceships became the ruling paradigm to explain these phenomena. And it got into the film, into the movie business, and so on. And that's what they became. And it has been very difficult for us to break out of that paradigm and say, look, these are not extraterrestrial, but terrestrial phenomena.
One of the locations we were told about that people have seen lights is down by the banks of the Pentecost River. So if you could tell us how to get down there, we'd appreciate it.
Righto, no worries.
In the autumn of 1995, Devereaux and a Norwegian scientist, Erling Strand, set out for the northwest Australian outback to track an apparition the Aborigines know as the Min Min lights.
One of the problems in coming in on field work to do observation of strange lights, Earth lights, is getting suitable data that you can take back with you that other people will believe. A lot of people think all you've got to do is go and take a photograph and say, look, there's a strange light, and come back and everybody will believe you, and the expedition set out to become part of the scientific main effort. Unfortunately, we already have many dozens of photographs showing blobs of light, and they don't really prove anything.
Tormented by heat and flies, the team deployed camera, radar, and apparatus to establish the background level of electromagnetism, the magnetic pull of the Earth's iron core. The team sat out 3 nights of silence. But on the 4th, the needle twitched on the magnetometer. And on the horizon, tiny points of light, the shy Min Min lights captured at last in the wild, and for the first time on tape. Some of the Min Min's apparent changes are due to the camera's efforts to focus on the phenomenon, but its physical presence could be firmly measured.
It's a very strong noise now, and we don't know what causes this noise, of course. Magnetic pulsation doesn't normally last so long.
We did measure the changes in the Earth's magnetic field. When we saw the lights, these changes was quite dramatically, very big, extremely big, in the order of 1,000 times, 1,000 times bigger than what's normal.
Erlingstrand had his first close encounter with the phenomenon on the other side of the world, at Hessdalen in Norway. He's convinced that a clue to the secret of the sky lies deep inside the Earth.
Now we're in a mine close to Hessdalen, and this mine is called Killingdal. It's the deepest copper mine in northern Europe, and it goes far down below sea level. The whole Hessdalen district has a lot of mines in it, and well, they're all closed down now, but there's a lot of minerals in the whole district. The mineral might be one part of why the light shows up in Hessdalen, and it's interesting to study that even further, because also other districts which has a lot of these lights have a lot of minerals in it.
Now we're driving into the Hessdalen Valley. Back in 1981, people started to see increasing amount of lights in here. And I went up here and saw the lights for myself. And we decided to start a project to find out more about the lights by using instruments. And we have got some results already. We want to do some more measurements and get more scientific data.
Strand's theoretical link between the lights and the mineral mantle of the Earth needs data to back it up. Project Hessdalen matches light sightings with electromagnetic fluctuations.
I think data is important because you have to have data to build a theory about what this is all about. And if you don't have any data about this phenomena, then you cannot put forward a good theory. You have the antenna outside, and this antenna is connected to these computers. And with this equipment, you can measure any electromagnetic noise or electromagnetic signals which might be connected to this phenomena. The most difficult thing to explain is the lifetime or the duration, how long it's illuminating. More than 2 hours has been seen, and you have to have a lot of energy into this light. And the big question is, where comes all this energy from? And how can it be there under all weather conditions? And that's very difficult to explain.
Still unexplained, these are some of the sightings Project Hessdalen has achieved. But for science, seeing is not necessarily believing.
There are many reasons why mainstream science is cautious to become too involved with this phenomenon and accept it too readily. Some of them are good reasons, some of them are not so good. A good reason is that the idea of seeing strange lights in the sky comes very dangerously close to the idea of UFOs, and mainstream science do not want to in any way encourage the lunatic fringe elements that are involved with that. On the other hand, there's, I think, an inherent feeling that we probably do know most of what goes on in nature. And I don't think that's true at all. I think we're still infants.
In the winter of 1904, something very strange was sighted at Egrin, a remote community in North Wales. Reports of Egrin's mysterious Christmas star quickly became front-page news.
It had a steady, intense yellow brilliance and did not move. Not sure whether I was deceiving myself, I called to a man 100 yards behind me on the road and asked him if he could see anything.
They were about 100 feet above the roof of the chapel. They shone out brilliantly and steadily for the space of about 30 seconds. Then they began to flicker like a defective arc lamp.
The chapel of Egrin was the epicenter of the story. It was a time of religious revival. But for the many witnesses, the light revealed unto them was very much of this world.
Between us and the hills, apparently 2 miles away, there suddenly flashed forth an enormous luminous star with an intensely brilliant white light, and emitting from its whole circumference dazzling sparklers
top
like
was
flashing
poised in
rays.
mid-air. A mass of fire of every conceivable colour was spreading on all sides and descended into a rainbow shower to the surface of the mountain.
From these graphic eyewitness accounts, Paul Devereux set out to solve a 90-year-old mystery. A mystery the more intriguing by its link to an ancient civilization in the valley. Devereux began by mapping exactly where the lights had been seen.
These are the Dufferin dolmens, or cromlechs, and in the 1904-1905 lights outbreak, local people here reported seeing columns of light emerging from the ground. There were multiple columns, they glowed orange. Some of them smoked a little at the top. They were anything between 6 and 8, 10 feet tall. And one particular column of light that fluttered and fluctuated out of the ground started producing spheres of light that slowly rose up through its length and exploded at the top. Well, the first thing we noticed as we plotted these as they slowly appeared on our carefully prepared maps was that they were almost like the beads on a thread. They definitely followed a particular line through the landscape. It was very clear, very distinct. Once we had plotted all the reported light phenomena very, very accurately, our next procedure was to find out about the geology of the area. And in the process of that, the geologists themselves found this very deep-rooted fault called the Mokras Fault. And when we saw the mapping of that they produced, we saw that these beads on a thread that we'd been following fell absolutely along the Mokras Fault. It was really clear-cut.
And Devereux discovered the Mokras Fault was especially restless exactly 90 years ago.
And there were earthquakes both immediately before the outbreak of lights around Egrin and Barmouth, and for a period afterwards, culminating in the great Swansea earthquake of 1906. So the lights sprang into existence right in the middle of a very active seismic period in this part of Wales.
But Wales was only the start of the trail. What Devereux would discover was that the more he followed the earthquakes of the world, the more he would see the light.
Just tell us what it was you saw.
Well, just starting to close up for the night, I guess, and all of a sudden these bright lights just seemed to come out of nowhere. Man, I was moving fast. Martha was out in the kitchen, and I started hollering, come here, look at this. What is that?
I can't say for sure what it was.
Lights were so bright. Then it just came on in there, about as close to me as you are right now.
What do you think it was?
Did it have any markings or anything?
It had this kind of little symbol, kind of like W.
Like a V, W.
Not planning properly for the future can really hit you where it hurts, and we don't want to leave ourselves over to that, do we, Henry?
With more pounds working for you from day one, it's an equitable life, Henry.
The Emerald Isle, the 40 shades of green, the land of milk and bacon.
You know, I got to be someplace in 2 hours. You think you'd have it poured by then?
Leprechauns, trout fishing, the Eurovision Song Contest, the Nolan sisters.
Bitter. He's not even conscious.
A land of authentic Irish beers like Holston O'Pills.
Hand-pulled. More like leg-pulled.
A cool, clean-tasting brew made from Kilkenny hops, Kerry barley, yeast from Killarney, and cool, clean Kildare water. Holston O'Pills, the true taste of Ireland.
And cut.
And board B camera. Can I get down now?
If you have tired, weak, overtreated hair, if you think there's no hope, there is. Just give yourself 14 days with Pantene Pro V System, shampoo and conditioner together, and there is hope for your hair.
Provitamin B5 nourishes at the root and penetrates all the way to the tip.
It won't happen overnight, but it will happen, and you'll start noticing it in just 14 days. Pantene Pro V shampoo and conditioner, for hair that looks so healthy, it shines. It will happen.
Wherever pain strikes, Nurofen knows how to release you fast and effectively.
She's just printed a garden plan. She can, you can, Canon printers can.
Leaking roofs, they certainly pick their moments. Usually a moment around 3 in the morning. So to make sure you get assistance when you need it...
General Accident Direct, can I help you?
General Accident Direct have a 24-hour helpline, open 365 days a year. To find out more about home contents and buildings insurance, call General Accident Direct on 0800 121 004 tomorrow. In 2 days, the never-before-seen conclusion to the most chilling X-File ever. Master plan. Prepare for the release.
Is there a link between the terrible power of earthquake and lights in the sky? As in Japan, beneath this Californian valley, tectonic plates forming the skin of the Earth meet and fret in slow collision. The San Andreas Fault. Across the fault line, the far side of the valley grinds north to Alaska at 2 centimeters a year. When the plates stick and then suddenly give, you get an earthquake. And one day, it'll be the big one. Against that day, the United States Geology Survey has built a spider's web of monitoring stations along the taut fault lines of America. From inside the wound in the Earth itself, sensitive probes constantly take the pulse of the fault. If the big one comes, when it comes, the first sign will come from here. Every second, data streams back to the central computers of the Geology Survey, a running medical history of the Earth's seismological blood pressure. When Michael Persinger compared this data with reports of lights, he made a remarkable discovery.
Initially, when we looked at all of the data, we realized that luminous events were one of the most frequent, unusual reports of the previous centuries. And when we completed the computer analysis, basically nature told us, that is the empirical approach, the induction approach, told us that luminous events occurred during the times of earthquakes. And furthermore, luminous events tend to occur before earthquakes. So we began to pursue that one major thrust, which was that there appeared to be a temporal and spatial relationship between an increase in luminous events, which some people called UFOs or odd luminosities or demons or airships, depending upon the culture, and the later occurrence of earthquakes.
Persinger's computers can show the incidence of lights over time in specific regions and link lights with seismic activity.
We have displays of New Mexico and Colorado, luminous displays throughout July 1947. You see the strain building up. Earthquake will be right in here. There's more strain. Earthquake. There it is.
In the early 1980s, UFOs were reported at Yakima, an Indian reservation in the American Northwest.
Some people got stuck over here to our north, and we called about 3 other officers to come help us, and we saw 2 cars coming down the road. And they stopped, and I said, look, there's 2 cars coming. And then after we looked at them to see who could be, then they just shot out. They just turned, their lights faced the south and went right over this ridge. And we thought, well, that's no cars.
Oh, I have seen just plain these big orange lights that remind you like the full moon, orange full moon when it comes up. And then I've seen just little lights, maybe a little white light. I've seen bouncing lights.
Each mystery light was reported from Toppenish Ridge. They were recorded by the fire wardens who stand sentinel scanning the area for brush fires. These solid accounts made the UFO stories worth investigating.
UFO is unidentified flying object, and unidentified means unidentified. It doesn't mean that the things are extraterrestrial or they're terrestrial. They're simply unknown. And it's interesting that probably 10% of all of the UFO reports are what you would call genuine UFOs, because these are things that truly can't be identified by mundane causes. The initial study lasted about 2 weeks, and I went from field to field and lookout to lookout. The fire lookouts were very important in helping. I can't say I was ever scared. I was kind of concerned at one time because I was looking at some lights on a ridge and happened to look up to my left and see this thing hanging under the clouds, another dirty yellow light, and that shook me up a little bit.
Toppenish Ridge stands in the foothills of the Cascade Mountains. Could the Cascades contain another clue to confirm Persinger's hypothesis of a link between the lights and earthquake? John Durr, one of the Geology Survey's leading geophysicists, set off for the Cascades to explore the theory further.
Cascades are a chain of volcanoes on the eastern edge of what is tectonically called the Cascadian subduction zone. That's an area where a tectonic plate in the Pacific Ocean is pushing itself underneath the continental United States, causing some uplift and also producing the heat that generates the magma that comes out in these volcanoes.
So the Cascade region is generally active. But why specific light activity at Toppenish Ridge? John Durr sought out a local geologist for the answer. Ted Rapaski has mapped every inch of the ridge.
Well, right here, it's an obvious fault scarp going through. This section has been dropped down, and they call that a graben, where it drops into down. But generally, Toppenish Ridge has a series of thrust faults, where the front of the ridge has been thrust forward.
I see.
And if you look up on the ridge, you can see a few other horizontal trends or lines through there, and those are also some fault features where it's been thrust and offset.
And it was along these very thrust faults that the Toppenish lights had danced.
Every few years there's at least some little earthquake in an area like this. And every 100 or 200 years there can be a very strong earthquake and a lot of motion. So in a geologic time frame, that's pretty much constant motion. The rocks, while they're under all of this stress, are cracking and breaking, and this is what leads up to all of the earthquakes and all of these strange phenomena that accompany them.
Toppenish is the birthplace of the mother of all UFOs. In the 1940s, a sighting from the air actually gave the phenomenon its name.
Back in 1947, Kenneth Arnold was flying a light plane along the Cascades when he saw a series of lights skipping along the crest of the mountains. And the way he described them was actually the origin of the term flying saucer.
He radioed ahead that they appeared to be close to the mountaintops and traveling at tremendous speed. When Arnold came in for a landing at Pendleton, airport personnel and the local press were waiting for him.
When people give flying saucer reports or UFO reports, there's probably 1,001 reasons for that report, which would range from misidentification of Venus or the moon with a cloud passing over it, to somebody in a very distraught mental condition, to somebody outright lying or hoaxing.
He saw what?
So you always have to distinguish between the reports and what the actual phenomenon was that triggered that report.
In the next 24 hours, virtually every newspaper in the country ran the story.
But was the explanation to be found in space or below the Earth? John Durr found the answer to Arnold's sightings in the files of the area's seismic records.
When I looked at the data, I was surprised to see that it was about 2 years before the largest earthquake to occur in the state of Washington that was ever recorded instrumentally. Given the size of that earthquake and the lead time for earthquake precursors, it's not at all strange to me that what he saw could very well have been earthquake lights associated with some initial strain that led up to this big earthquake.
The empirical analysis that we've completed indicate that most luminous events that people call UFO reports are coupled to earthquake activity, that they're natural phenomena, and both these balls of light, no matter how unusual they may be, and earthquakes have one thing in common: tectonic strain, not extraterrestrial forces.
But what is the link between lights in the sky and rocks under stress? At University College in London, experts crack rocks like a scientific convict gang.
Okay, we've got a sandstone specimen which we're going to break in compression by using this.
Paul Devereaux realized that this research could yield evidence about what he calls earthlights. A sandstone core will be compressed, squeezed until it shatters. All its vital signs will be monitored. Any energy produced, sound waves, electromagnetism, will be recorded.
As we're getting close to the failure of the rock, we've got more and more cracking occurring, generating these acoustic emissions, which are now coming in quite fast. You can see the load increasing in a compressive sense, and the rock deforming in a compressive sense. And how we regard rock fracture is that you get a lot of cracking activity, but that increases in intensity and actually localizes to form what becomes a fault in the rock. Okay, so the rock is about to fail, and we've got the electromagnetic emissions coming in now, and the acoustic emissions piling in. It's about to go any moment. Thousands.
So this sudden sort of drop-off, like a cliff face here, is when the core actually failed. It actually imploded.
That's the catastrophic failure. Yeah. The peak stress is somewhere back here, and then the rock is what we call strain softening, and the actual catastrophic failure is sometime after peak stress.
That's really the end of the process.
That's the end. That's when it went bang and made us jump.
So we can see here with this yellow graph here that there was electromagnetic emission after that peak moment. Then there seems to be these spikes coming out.
That's right. So we've got some precursory electromagnetic emissions which are occurring.
Spikes,
that's right. They're occurring after peak stress, and then just as the rock fails, we get some massive electromagnetic emissions here.
This rock core only produces millivolts, not enough to spark a light bulb. But imagine it scaled up to the dimensions of a mountain. Theoretically, a multi-megawatt explosion. But scientists still don't know how the energy is released into the atmosphere. Back among the high lakes of the Cascades, John Durr believes that water may have a part to play. Dams on the rivers of the Cascade Mountains force water into the surrounding rock. Could this energy be the source of the Toppenish lights?
If you push water into a crack, the water can break up into small droplets under the high pressure. And whenever you separate a stream of water into smaller water droplets, you're separating charge so that each of the water droplets carries a packet of charge with it. This might be able to build up and cause something similar to a lightning strike, only the charge is built up in the earth.
But surely the rock, being a good conductor, would earth the charge and stop it flashing to the sky.
The main problem is that in order to get discharge to cause the lights, you have to have charge generated and maintained for how long the lights last. And the Earth is a good conductor, and so it's difficult to see how you could maintain that charge for very long.
Byerly's theory involves both heat and water. Earthquakes produce heat. A sheath of steam coats the edges of the fault, but water vapor is a bad conductor. The effect is to insulate the edges of the fault with a non-conductive layer. From below, a colossal charge builds up and could burst into the air in the form of light.
So during the earthquake, you have a vaporized region that can be fairly wide and depend on the magnitude of the earthquake, of course. So that is an insulator. But the central region, right at where the slip is occurring, is a conductor. So the charges can be generated and concentrated onto that central conductor, and which is separated from the rest of the conductive rock outside the fault zone.
But traditional science cannot fully explain the strange antics of the lights. For that answer, we need to go to the very edge of knowledge.
We've taken one of the world's cleverest robotic arms, and even cleverer, worked out how to make it bend and swivel in many different ways at once. We are masters of virtual reality, simulations that help train people to perfect their job skills. To learn more about what we do and how we do it, come to our new visitor center at Sellafield. BNFL, where science never sleeps.
A lack of confidence can come from a phobia, being frightened, snakes or spiders, and a fear of small spaces. But that's one phobia we can help you with.
New Citroen Saxos available with power steering, specially engineered to give maximum power at the slowest speed. And meter-mate phobia, incurable.
I need parts sent fast to circuits all over the world. It's a real hot potato.
Everything we send has to be tracked, wherever it goes.
60% of our China has to go abroad, 100% safely.
I want my troops sent overseas with military precision.
Whatever your worldwide distribution needs, we can handle it. Parcel Force can design and manage a system to suit your business, and yours alone.
With over 800 price cuts at Argos, you can afford to give more this year.
It costs less to keep in touch with BT's friends and family.
The people that I've got as my 5 numbers are special people and the people that I would talk to the most.
I've definitely got a different attitude towards using the phone.
You can phone all the people up you want without worrying.
Since friends and family, I'm on the phone a lot more.
You can save 10% with BT's friends and family. Call 0800 05 55 55.
Especially with my parents being in Hong Kong. Friends and family does help quite a lot.
I don't really think twice about picking the phone up.
The other good thing is she's always on the phone. I get to watch the football.
It's good to talk.
Introducing Duracell Power Check, the new generation of battery with a built-in power gauge that tells you how much power is left in your battery anytime, anywhere.
Hi, I'm James Woods. This week on Miller Time, I'll be appearing live via the most expensive satellite link-up in broadcasting history. So, if the guys from Miller want me to tell you Miller Pilsner contains 4.2% alcohol, hey, it's going to cost them about $50,000. If they want me to talk about its clean, easy taste, even that'll be $20,000. When for a mere $5,000, I could do this. Go figure.
Not everyone believes that geology alone can explain the mystery of the lights. Crushing rocks gives some clues, but here along the 3 miles of the linear accelerator at California's Stanford University, David Freiberger smashes atoms. And it's in atoms that this quantum physicist believes there's an answer to the phenomenon of unexplained light.
My initial interest was in the ball lightning aspects, and the paper I delivered at Hessdalen was about ball lightning, but it seemed quite clear to me that these are cousin phenomena or brother phenomena.
Freiberger is a revolutionary even in the radical world of quantum physics.
As a scientist, I think it's very important. It appears to me to be new physics, and new physics, of course, is what I'm interested in, trying to discover what the fundamental particles are, what the fundamental interactions are.
Controversially, Freiberger believes there's an atomic particle even smaller than the tiny quark. This particle of particles he calls a photon, and photons, he believes, lie behind the secret of the lights.
The model I've been working
on explains the lights as a collection of photons. It works much better right now, or at least at the present level of understanding. It works better to describe the lights, as well as ball lightning, their characteristics. The production mechanisms are a little more difficult.
The key to Freiberger's theory is that lightning storms can create a cloud of photons like a gas. Over time, this photon gas accumulates beneath the Earth in a kind of reservoir, held by the Earth's magnetic field. There they remain until an earthquake or volcanic eruption boils off clouds of photons in the form of a light.
That then would relate to the tectonic ideas, where you have an earthquake and that disturbs this gas in some way. And that disturbance leads to the creation of an earthlight which would come out of the Earth, and then it's then seen. The physics of that creation process is complicated and needs further study. It's something that I'd like to work on, perhaps with some of the other people that study the connection between seismic activity, volcanic activity, and earthlights.
Equinox chose Mexico as the place to bring Freiberger together with that other light-hunting pair, Devereaux and Strand. Because Mexico has been visited recently by a host of unexplained lights. Over the last 5 years, sensational sightings of supposed UFOs have sent Mexico as close as the country ever gets to mild hysteria. Could the scientific trio explain the mysterious goings-on? The panic started in the sober surroundings of Mexico Airport's air traffic control. Flight controllers were receiving reports from pilots about lights which had no business to be there, with unexplained blips on their screens.
I was working as an air traffic controller, and the controller in one of the airports, he saw a very bright white light, a ball, and he asked to the other controller in the other tower if he had a traffic in there. And the controller on the other tower said, no, I don't have any traffic, but I see the light in the same place as you say.
Give the media a mystery, and a show like 60 Minutos will make it a sensation.
Este caso fue cuidadosamente estudiado por el equipo de 60
The host of the show appeals for home videos of UFOs.
Como fascinante.
Many of the 6,000 he received must be hoaxes. Paul Devereaux had to pick his way carefully through the dross.
So where's this, these lights?
This is very close to Metepec, Tlacotepec, which is a neighbor area. And here you have 3 UFOs flying over a cornfield. And there were no helicopters flying that night. We have checked that.
So difficult to tell, isn't it? I mean, I could see that also as being lights on the corners of one object that's just changing position. And it looks, therefore, like different lights that are moving around. Very difficult to be sure. There seems to be a red flashing light in there.
Exactly, yes.
Now, where's this?
This is very close to the volcano. You can see that something is a delayed photograph.
Sure. Do you know how long the exposure was? How long the shutter was open on those photographs at all?
Yes, the people who took this told me that was around 1 minute per picture.
1 minute each.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a very interesting image. In many ways more informative than just simply seeing a little ball of light moving around.
There was another reason for taking the team to Mexico. The country trembles on the junction of 5 tectonic plates hemmed in by active volcanoes. One of them is close to Mexico City, Popocatépetl, where UFO activity had been seen. could El Popo be the explanation? The team discovered some of the secrets of the volcano from geologist Hugo Delgado.
The volcano, of course, is nested in a kind of crisscrossing of fault patterns. Currently we have a large amount of earthquakes coming out from the volcano, but there are several kinds of seismic events, so some of them just reflect the explosions that are taking place at the crater. So that kind of events are not really remarkable for us. The most important ones are the ones that occur inside the volcano.
So El Popo, with its fault lines and earthquakes, could be a classic source of Earthlight power. The light hunters pitched camp on the very flank of the volcano. As in Australia, the first task was to establish the normal background levels of electromagnetism in the area. Any variation could be another clue to the origin of Mexico's mystery lights. Now all the team can do is watch and wait.
The classic scientific approach, of course, is observation, hypothesis, deduction. We're very weak on the observation. We really need current, highly disciplined, well-researched field observation. And that process has really just begun in the last few years. It's only just beginning. If we can build up a hard body of instrumental data that you can put before any scientific body and say, there is a phenomenon here, it's time we took a much closer look at it. It may have a lot to teach us.
But El Popo seemed to have given nothing away that night. Nothing visible, at least. But when the team checked the magnetometer, they found that all through the night El Popo was sending surges of power into the dark.
It seems that the magnetic field in this region is very strong, and it has a very big fluctuation in the magnetic field, much stronger that we ever heard about. There has been magnetic measurement other places in close to such volcanoes, but not so strong as this one.
It does fit with the theory. One expects magnetic fluctuations larger than are seen in normal quiet backgrounds, and the lights themselves should also emit a fluctuating or oscillating magnetic field. So the indications here that we have large magnetic field fluctuations is consistent with this being some kind of Morton source for Earthlights.
We have reached the mere foothills of the science of Earthlights. But the pieces of the puzzle are beginning to fit. Fit well enough to convince reputable scientists that the lights may be leading them to one of the planet's most elusive and maybe most valuable secrets.
To date, the prediction of earthquakes has been very difficult for geophysicists. It may be that there are just dozens of different types of earthquakes and hence different kinds of precursors. But if indeed we can help predict the occurrence of these severe earthquakes as to where they will occur and when they will occur by using luminous events, then of course the money would be well justified because it would save life and save property.
These strange things that we see are not little green men from Mars. They really are most likely a natural geophysical phenomenon, and there's no taint in seeing one. It's all right to report what you saw, and you know, you're not crazy. But at the same time, I would hasten to add that these things are probably highly charged, as dangerous as lightning, and I certainly wouldn't want to touch one. And I strongly advise anyone else to keep a good, healthy distance from them.
Continue exploring the mysterious world of Earthlights with the help of this Channel 4 booklet. To order a copy, send a cheque or postal order payable to Channel 4 for £3.50 to Equinox Earthlights, PO Box 4000, London W5 2GH.
High plastic mobile phones that people are inside walking along. I've even seen a 6-foot high condom walking around London recently.